Hello, everybody. Happy February. Happy 2025, a month late. I hope that the year is treating everybody well. My name is Tara Hutchinson. I am an attorney with Pittsburgh Family Law Services. We are a family law firm based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And what we do is we focus on divorce, custody, child support, property division. That's all in the family law realm. And then we also do estate planning and estate administration. So preparing wills and trusts, handling an estate once somebody passes away, those types of matters. I wanted to start this YouTube channel because a lot of people have very similar questions about how to handle their case when they have a family law matter. You know, how to interact better with their former spouse. Questions about why divorces or custody cases take as long as they do. You know, all of these are very common issues, and the reality is, you know, even though I am a lawyer, I understand that not every problem, not every issue that comes up is something that you can justify paying a lawyer several $100s an hour to answer for you. And a lot of these are questions that can be answered relatively quickly in a video. So I wanted to create this channel to address some of these common questions, common issues that come up for people who have family law or estate planning or estate administration issues. The one that I want to talk about today is about custody and about how to interact with your former spouse, or if you were never married, with your child's other parent. You know, the thing that I hear from most parents in a custody case is, I just want to do what's best for our children, or our child if it's just one child. I just want to make sure that they have what they need, that everything is done with their best interests in mind. Sometimes people will even say to me, I don't care so much about a good relationship with my ex, but you know, I just want to make sure that our children are taken care of, that they're adjusting well, that they're not being harmed by the problems that we had in our marriage or the breakdown in our relationship. I hear this all the time. It's so common. And the thing is, in order to promote your children's best interest, it really is important to try and have as amicable and as cordial a relationship with the other parent as possible. Sometimes it's going to be easier than others, but most of the time, and obviously, you know, if there has been an abuse situation, you know, sometimes you just can't have a good relationship, or maybe even any relationship with the other parent. But most of the time, there are ways to improve your own relationship with the other parent, and that ultimately helps your child as well. So I'm just going to go through a couple of suggestions for how to have a better relationship with the other parent. I'm going to refer to the other parent as being a spouse or a former spouse, but this applies equally even if you were never married. So forgive me if I use language that doesn't apply to your specific situation, but it will be the same. So the first thing that I would suggest is to make sure you have open communication. So what I mean by that is, you know, if your child has a doctor's appointment, if they fall, if they have a bad fall and they need to go to the ER, if there are educational issues, open houses, report cards, make sure you communicate that to the other parent. If we're talking about like a 2-year-old boy who's very active and I don't know, decides that he thinks he can fly, and so jumps off the steps and gets a really big cut on his face. That's not necessarily a problem with you. That's not in and of itself a problem with your parenting. Okay, that's the reality of having a very active toddler, right? But communicate that. Talk to the other parent about what happened. Here's what happened. Here's what I did. Here's what I did to treat it. And from the other parent's side, if you're getting communications like that, understand that the other parent, your ex-spouse, is trying to keep you informed, and is trying to communicate with you about day-to-day things. These are things that when you were together, when you were married, you probably wouldn't have even questioned it, but now everything is different because you're separated. So keep the lines of communication open. There are several communication apps that parents can use. Our Family Wizard is one of them. That's a paid app. App Close is another one. That's a free platform. So there are ways that you can communicate with each other. So just like I said, keep those lines of communication open. Inform each other of the information that you would want to receive if the roles were reversed. The second suggestion is put your child's needs first, even if they aren't convenient for you. So what I mean by that is, especially as your children get older, they start getting involved in extracurricular activities. They want to do sports, they want to do band, they want to do drama. I personally, I was a band and chorus kid, and I always had a rehearsal after school. And sometimes it was rehearsals every Thursday evening for community band practice, or playing in a pit orchestra. Those were nighttime rehearsals. Again, when you're in an intact family and you're living together, this is just what happens when you have kids, right? And I understand when you're separated, it's not as easy to be okay with that, because you're only seeing your children half the time now. Or if you have partial custody, it may be less than half the time. So I completely get it, but it's very important to think about what your child wants to do, and if your child really wants to be involved in chorus or in band or in a sport, sometimes these activities are going to interfere with your direct custodial time. So, you'll still have your child during your custody time, but you'll be taking them to practices. You'll be there for games. Really listen to what your child wants to do. And it's still important. You're still supporting your children by helping them be involved in these activities that they really want to do. Even though I completely get that it's a lot easier said than done. Like I said, when you're only seeing your children half the time. The next thing that I would suggest is to respect each other's differences. You and your ex are not the same person. You're not going to run your households in an identical way. I do think that it is important to have consistency in things like bedtimes. bedtimes, when does your child get off of the phone? It is important to have consistency for things like that, but you don't have to do everything exactly the same. Obviously, there are some exceptions to this, but if you are in that type of situation, there is usually a medical professional or a mental health professional who's going to be very clear about why everything does have to be as close to identical as possible. So you'll know if you're in that situation. But you're going to give each parent is going to have meal times at different at different times of the day. One parent may do 4 o'clock, the other parent may do 7 o'clock. It doesn't have to be identical. So respect each other's differences, and every difference is not harmful. It actually helps your children to be more adjusted and be able to adapt more easily to other environments if you don't insist that everything be exactly the same. The next suggestion that I have is to be flexible. Sometimes things come up. Traffic is bad. The weather is bad. Like in Pittsburgh, a couple of weeks ago, it was we had a lot of snow. You're not always going to be able to get to a custody exchange on time. Things happen. Try your best to adjust as needed, to help out the other parent, because everyone is going to need assistance and is going to need flexibility at some point. And being flexible when it's an occasional request, that will ensure that you get the same courtesy and the same flexibility when you need it as well. And finally, my last piece of advice is to seek support when needed. You don't have to do this completely on your own. I am a fan of co-parenting counseling. Co-parenting counseling is a forum where you can address questions or concerns that you have about what's going on in both households. And it really is focused on giving both parents the tools that you each need to have a positive relationship and to work in your child's best interest. So those are just a couple of very quick suggestions that I have just from speaking with many families and parents over the years about what some of the biggest challenges are. Keep in mind that although I am a lawyer, I am not your lawyer. So everything that I mentioned, your situation may be different, and some of these may not apply as much to you, or they may not even be beneficial. Like I said, I am not your lawyer. It is important that if you have specific questions about your individual case, that you talk with a lawyer who is in your geographical area. So thank you for listening. I hope that this was helpful, and please join me the next time for the next topic. All right, take care. Bye for now.